The other thing that we need to have is we need to create positive outcomes for the educational system. What does that mean? That means teachers need to stop, believing that they are in a competition, in a race with other teachers, that I am trying to be the best teacher out there. I want my students to be better than that teacher. I want this school to be better than that school. No, that's wrong. There needs to be collaboration. There needs to be interaction between the teachers in the same school, between the teachers in the surrounding school, in the neighborhoods, creating a network. Teachers need to create networks among themselves, and they need to encourage self-inquiry. That means teachers need to ask, what do I need to learn? What do I need to work on? Unfortunately, some of us believe that once you get your degree, learning stops, reading stops, writing stops, taking part in conferences stops. Unfortunately, that's the case for many of our teachers. Oops, sorry. The other thing that we need to focus on is engaging Syrian EFL teachers. What does that mean? Now, as I mentioned, teachers mentioned in the survey that I showed you the data on, that they are not being involved in what is taking place, in what goes into the education program. Now, what does that mean? That means in Syria, we have something called a top-down approach. A top-down approach means someone up there decides to take the decision and it filters down to the bottom, right? We need to flip this. It needs to be a bottom-up approach. So we need to start with the teachers. Then we go up to the school principals. Then we go up to the school supervisor. Then we go up to the director supervisor. Then we go to the ministry and so on. That's how it needs to happen. We need to stop adopting the macro approach, right? The macro approach means a one-size training program that fits all teachers, which is really impossible, which is nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense. And we need to adopt the micro approach. The micro approach, that means we need to zoom in on the specific aspects, the specific needs of the teachers. And that's why we need to engage the Syrian EFL teachers through surveys. The supervisors who go to schools can ask them, what do you need? What do you want? What can we help you? What can we help you in? And so on. That's what we really need. So once we start doing this, the organizers of these professional development programs start taking into consideration the school environment. The other thing is the duration of timing of in-service development programs. Most teachers voiced out that they were not happy with this duration. 5 days a week, we're not really learning. It's just theory. The supervisor comes in and goes, blah, 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 blah. And that's it. What? That doesn't work. How are we supposed to learn if they don't give us handouts? At least you need a handout. Right now I'm using the PowerPoint to tell you what I'm talking about, and you can keep a copy of it. What about the teachers? If you have 1,000 teachers attending the same training program and all of them don't have handouts, when they go back, what are they supposed to depend on? Their short memory, their long-lasting memory? That doesn't really work. So the timing of these programs need to be suitable for the teachers. You can't come to the holiday of the teacher, like the spring break, and say, well, you're not going to have a holiday this spring break because you're going to attend a 5-day development program. That doesn't work like that. So the timing should be appropriate for the teachers. Moreover, there needs to be, and this is really important, there needs to be a decentralization of the in-service development programs. What does that mean? As I mentioned, in Syria, we have a top-down approach, we have a macro approach, a one-size-fits-all approach, which means all the development programs are centralized. We need to do the opposite. We need to do something, we need to apply something that is similar to the teacher growth model, that is similar to the lesson study model. That means we need to bring the development programs to the teachers, not take the teachers to the development programs, especially as you know, during the conflict, it has become very difficult for teachers, to commute from their homes, from their villages, from their towns to their schools because there's no transportation. And if there is transportation, it's expensive. And if most of these programs take place on the weekend, we know that usually on the weekends, we have less transportation, So that's why we need to decentralize the in-service development programs. We need to nest these programs into the teacher's school environment. Not only ask them what they need, here we are coming to you. So once you do that, you will have appropriate program. This approach contributes in accommodating more practical teacher-based needs, which can result in more practice at school. So when you bring the development program to the teacher at their school, it targets what they need. It targets their students because every teacher has different students. So you can't say all the teachers have the same students, therefore they can teach the same way. They can apply the same method. No, that's not possible. That is not possible. And I think Mr. Kadura, who also has a lot of experience in teaching, knows that you go from one classroom to another and you have to teach differently. You can't apply the same method for each class. Different methods need to be applied and teachers need to learn that practically. Now, I think this is the last point that I have. In-service development programs as ongoing pedagogical and professional development. What does that mean? That means, you can't have one program this semester and then have a different program the next semester. There has to be a relation. There has to be a connection. There has to be a continuation between these two programs. If you can't offer a lengthy development program, at least offer something that is ongoing. Say, teachers, we didn't cover everything in these 5 days. So we'll meet you next month with another 5 days and we'll continue this. In addition to that, we need to decrease the theoretical aspect and we need to offer authentic practice. You can't bring a supervisor and someone that the supervisor has already done a role play with and say, okay, look at us teachers, this is how you need to do it. No, this is not authentic. This is just a dramatic simulation of what needs to take place. But in the real classroom, it doesn't happen like that because teachers have 60 students and only 45 minutes and 3 books. So these are some of the most important things that the Ministry of Education and the English language supervisors need to focus on. Now, if English language teachers don't have this, this basis, they can create, as I said, they can create their own network. Please reach out to other EFL teachers in your community, in your neighborhood, in your school environment, in the neighboring schools. Create the network, exchange ideas. Don't hesitate to say, is there a better way to teach this? Is there a more enhanced method to teach this? Ask. You will never learn. You will never know if you do not ask. Knowledge cannot be given. Knowledge is acquired. And you can only acquire something if you ask for it. So this is the final slide. These are, if you're interested in reading, as I said, unfortunately, reading is not a part of the Syrian social life anymore. These are some titles of books that you can